Hi everybody. Okay, so for Friday, Bold was okay. It was good. But there are too many holes, and hopefully next week we'll get some answers to these holes. Okay, so I'm gonna go with what they talked about today, and then talk about the holes, and then you'll understand. Okay, so today we're back at Forrester Creations and uh, uh, Steffi is talking to Sheila, which is amazing on its own because they never speak to each other. To say these two people have a hatred for each other is being kind because Steffi, I think now this is personally my diagnosis. I am not a doctor, I'm not anything like that. But I think Steffi has an inferiority complex where she's afraid of everybody and like she always feels like she has to prove something, but like I don't believe it because she's part of this Forrester family, okay? That means she isn't going anywhere and she has more money and whatever. So what she thinks she has to prove is beyond me. But um and so she goes to see, or she's talking to Sheila, like I said. Okay. And then Sheila's just there, and whatever. And they're talking a little bit, but it's not like friendly. So I'm like, okay. So Sheila turns to leave, and then out of character for Steffi completely, and she says, "Well, how's your foot doing?" Because I told you she was shot in the foot. She lost a toe, right? So Sheila, being Sheila, she says, "Well, it's okay, but I'm no longer nine-toed Sheila because I'm 8 toes now." And she says, "Well, I could explain it, or I could show you." So they have her in a cast thing, and she has the one toe separation, and then the next toe. And she's like, "Oh, come on, it's funny." Because Liam and Steffi are in the same room and they're kind of aghast at the sight, so they don't know what to do. And she's like, "Come on, it's funny." And it's not okay, like for Sheila, it is funny, but it's not funny because she got injured again. But if you know the storyline, it is funny. So, but the fact that they were talking to each other is like, wow. That means it's all gonna go, awry at some point. Okay. Then we have the Taylor Brook Ridge thing. And oh god. Okay. I'm gonna try to be kind today because it's Friday. I'm gonna try. Okay. Um, Taylor is a great character. However, I don't think the casting of Rebecca Budding as her fit. And I don't think it will ever fit. And let's be clear, I love Rebecca Budding. Have been a fan of hers for years. Started with her on All My Children, went to One Life to Live, or General Hospital, or whatever. And they came with her to Bold and the Beautiful. Okay? All the other characters she's ever played, I love. This one, I don't. Because Taylor is supposed to be smart and strong and whatever. The way she plays it, it doesn't come off that way. She comes off as needy, insecure, and all the rest of it, all the negative stuff. Like that, she needs reassurance from somebody to get her validation and all that stuff. And that was just never the Taylor before, ever, I don't think. Okay? And it starts again because Brooke, now, I could go to town on Brooke too because as I discussed in the last video, I think, Brooke is the first choice for Ridge. Why that is, don't know, not gonna get into it, okay? But it just is. That's fine, honey. But it's not exactly great either because the first time you make a mistake, he leaves. So what exactly are you getting here? You know? So, okay, going along with the storyline. Brooke is talking to Ridge and she's trying to convince him that they can have a fun time in Italy and yada, 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 yada. Okay? And at first it's like, okay, cool. And then you remember that he's engaged to Taylor and you go, okay, why did she do that? Why did Brooke do that? Because it's like, what's the point? I've said this a million times. If a man is taken, if somebody's taken, you don't go after them when they're in a relationship. You just don't do it. It's not necessary. There are too many fish in the sea and whatever. And yet we have a prime example of a soap opera and they have them chasing after one stupid man. I'll never get it. Okay? So, Taylor, for all the stuff I say about her, the one time I agreed with her, so she said, well, you know he's with me, and that no matter what you do, you can never break that up. Okay, yeah, I agree with that to a point. I agree that he's already in a relationship with you. He shouldn't even be thinking about somebody else. Okay? But the other person shouldn't be putting themselves out to like do that anyway. So that's where I stand on that. Okay. Okay, getting away from that because if I don't, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Oh, okay. Okay. So, Liam, poor Scott Clifton. Okay, yay, Scott Clifton, but poor Scott Clifton. Okay, because the man is now going to live. Yay! But he still has a bandage around his head. I think they're perpetually going to leave this man in a bandage around his head until they just really do unelect the character something. Because think about it. He had the whatever tumor. They had the bandage around his head. I said, could you please take the bandage off his head? I mean, what is it doing? And then now he's had surgery to repair, to get out said tumor. And the bandage is still wrapped around his head. Okay, so maybe some good news, bad news here. I'm not really sure which. But Finn, the loving doctor, is standing in front of a computer screen with a bunch of scans of, I'm guessing, Liam's brain or something. And he says to no one, because no one's in there, I wonder what really happened to you, Liam. And just nothing. No answers, just a question in the air. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, oh boy, there's going to be something else, which I kind of told you guys before, because I said in my cynicism that the way they did it was just too clean, too easy. But I said, I don't know what's going to be the problem, but mark my words, there's going to be something else. Now, with the question lingering in the air, well, there's two things. With the way that Grace Buckingham slid down the wall and hyperventilated, and now he's got the question in the air, it makes me think, I wonder what's really wrong with him. So we're still stuck with those questions. And no answers. None. So, I don't know. I mean, I would think that, well, I would hope that we get some answers next week, but that would be too easy. They don't give answers that easily. Plus, they got to fit in the trip to Italy. So if they're going to go to Italy, there's no way they can do both at the same time. Unless they plan on doing the split screen thing again. So who knows? So that's where my brain is at on that. Okay. All good, but not, but like, I'm not even teetering on the edge of my seat anymore because I'm like, okay, I don't know when and what. So, but my mind is already all this. So I'm saying to myself, don't be too joyful that he's like well again because, you know, he's going to get. So once again, like, and but both like I am waiting for answers. Although I know I'm probably not going to get them in a timely fashion, but I'm still waiting for them. So. Okay, bye everybody.